Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the February 8th, 2022 meeting of the Waynesboro Area School District Board of Directors. For those of us here, if we could please stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have one absent member tonight, who's Mrs. Straight. Everyone else is here. So we don't need to do a in-person roll call. Ms. Kuzer.
Okay.
All right, moving on to approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions on the agenda? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, same thing with the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
Second.
Questions? Any clarifications or anything? Okay, if not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. On to Superintendent's Report, Dr. Klein.
All right, I have two things. One, just to give you an update on our COVID numbers. I'm not sure how much more, I should need to, report them, but I do want to report them today. Our numbers are down. We have 9 current students that are positive and 3 current staff members that are positive. So numbers are going down, kind of as expected. So, hopefully the rest of the year will look like that. So anyhow, I did want to share those numbers. The second thing is that I think the board's aware, and some, that the least favorite part of my job is calling snow days. And I value, one of the things, or my own personal values, I think our kids are better off face to face with our teachers in a classroom. And I think they're better off being there all the time, as we showed that last year. There are some kids that do well virtually, and that's great. That's a choice they have. But I think most kids belong in front of our teachers, and our teachers do a great job working with them. So having said that, one thing I try to do is any way I can get kids into school, if we can get them there, even on a snow day, I try to bring them in because I think they're better off there than not. The problem was Friday, we had actually made a decision that by 5 a.m. in the morning, go to school and be on time, and we weren't, too worried about it. Then the phone started ringing off the hook right after that. I didn't have much rest even right after that, because PennDOT had indicated that they were concerned for the rest of the morning, especially one, we could looked at a 2-hour delay, but the problem was they're saying the ice could start about the time, anywhere between the time you would have brought them in to the time you would have sent them home early, because we had talked about sending them home early if the ice would start. So they recommended not doing that and possibly considering closing. So that's what we did, because our mountains get pretty rough, and a lot of people, when we're down here, we don't notice it, but up there they do. And I think some of our board members heard it from one of the township's folks that, hey, if anybody thought that last time was fine to go to school, I think Mr. Beastman said, you tell him, give him my phone number. I'll tell him how bad it was.
He did tell us that.
So, and then this time, the other thing is that one of our contractors had contacted me and the other person I was working with that works for the township said, I have drivers that don't want to drive today. And the last thing I was going to need is taking that risk of, not having drivers. So the decision was made then with everybody kind of going through that we were going to close. And that is very painful for me because I like bringing them in. And it's not that I'm trying to John Wayne it, but I think kids are better off or not. So I just wanted to share that so you know why that is. Thank you.
Okay, and we have no public comment tonight, but kind of following along what Dr. Klein was saying, I don't know, I'm just going to give my take on something that really struck me this weekend. There was an article in the Herald Mail on Saturday. I don't know if anybody saw it. It's very long. It opens up to a full page about some issues that they're having down in Washington County. And anybody who's following what's happening with schools these days, you know that schools are having a tough time in many, many ways. Academically, certainly with kids who are out, discipline issues, but they're real, and teacher burnout is one of the things they're talking about in there. And they're really, they're having a tough time down there. And I mean, my kids were educated at Washington County schools, they had great education. I'm certainly not picking on them, but it made me think about the differences and what we have been able to do, thanks to the support of our teachers, admin, staff, support of the board, that I think it did make a huge difference with us. Now we have, more discipline issues than we like as well. And we have kids who are behind, but I think it made such a difference that we were able to stay open and only be closed totally for 8 days, that some of these problems that they're having where kids, teachers from other districts, they'll say, well, I think they forgot how to do school. And it's prevalent everywhere. And I think that has really, really helped us. And another thing I think it helped, and I was reading about some of the really severe discipline issues down there, is, thanks to our admin, who had the foresight to see that we have created rooms for, troubled, needy kids, let's say, needy kids who cannot make it in the regular classroom. We have supported those classrooms. We also knew that some kids, even in our district, basically didn't go to school for a year and a half when COVID was in its full swing. So we created a class at the middle school to help those kids get acclimated back. And of course, hopefully it helps them, but it also helps the regular classroom teachers and the students that are in those rooms. So I was just like really feeling, pleased that we have been able to do that because we knew there were going to be problems, I think, but the degree of these problems is much more severe throughout the country than we thought they were going to be. And I hope at least that, we make mistakes. We don't always make the right decisions for everything, but I think on this one, I'm just very, proud to be part of the district for what we've done with that. So that was just my 2 cents on it. I don't know what anybody else thinks. That was just my thought on that. So anyway, let's go ahead and move on then with no public comment. We'll move on to board reports. Anybody have anything to report?
We have a meeting on Wednesday at 1.
We meaning policy.
We meaning policy.
Mhm.
That's Wednesday tomorrow or Wednesday next week?
Next Wednesday at 1.
Anybody else?
Oh, wait, facilities is the night before, isn't it?
We're not-
Services is meeting on the 21st on President's Day, as well as budget.
I bet you I have the wrong dates on my calendar for facility.
Policies on the 16th at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
Which is next Wednesday. We are meeting. Facilities is meeting on the 21st.
Budget and facilities are both on the 21st.
Which is-
Budget is first, and then facilities
Is right after it. Okay. And academic committee is meeting. Let me get my calendar out. Anybody know? what- That's the 16th?
It looks like it's on my calendar at 16th at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So we have academic and policy on.
Policies at 1, right?
Yes,
Okay.
they're both on the 16th.
Okay. So anybody's welcome to join us if you'd like to come to those. So nobody has met then since then. So there's no reports. And on to the student report. Riley.
Okay, so our girls varsity basketball partnered with the Special Olympics tonight at the varsity basketball game. So they're gonna have the Special Olympics kids come and run out with them, and then they'll have a little small thing for the varsity game. Our early to college for prep and meetings are starting this coming week, and to sign up in the guidance counselor's office. Our boys basketball team won their really vicious game against Shippensburg this past Friday. So even though we were unable to have packed the house, we still had a really big turnout. I was in concession stands from like 7:15 till the end of the game, and we were packed like the whole time. We didn't have a break. So we definitely had a really good turnout for that. The class of 2023 is really hard at work with fundraising, trying to make sure we have a really good prom this year. So they're selling the sticky buns from State College to pay for this year's prom. that is
Wait, I have a question for you. Okay, you're talking about
gosh.
the back, we say
pack
some,
the house.
no, not pack the house, the
Uh,
guidance, the
Oh,
college,
the early to college.
early to
stuff.
college.
Yeah.
Okay, but my question is about scholarships. Now, I know you're a junior, right?
Yes.
Okay, but sometimes we feel like kids don't realize all the scholarships are out there.
Mhm.
Like, do you feel like it's being promoted enough that everybody knows to get down there and see what's available? More for seniors than it would be for juniors. Do you have a take on that at all?
I would say it's definitely more for the seniors. Like on the announcements, they don't put juniors necessarily unless it's a specific junior scholarship. Like with Lenfest, that's a specific junior scholarship that we had that they had offered. Other than that, it's mostly always seniors.
But do you think it's out there? You think the seniors are hearing, maybe we need to ask Karis about this, but you know, that
The
you
seniors
should
here,
get down there and see what's available.
yes, I feel like
Okay.
it's definitely on the announcements every time there's a new scholarship. But the one issue is I know that my homeroom teacher puts the announcements on the board from Mrs. McLeave.
Mhm.
I don't know if other homerooms do that. I also know sometimes nobody really pays attention to the morning announcements.
That's what I was wondering.
So if it's not, so if they don't pay attention, I don't think they know. And then I think there is people that not necessarily think they qualify for the scholarships because like if they make their parents make too much money or whatever. Because I know I'm running into that as looking for scholarships as a junior.
Yeah, but you know, some of them are not financial need based. Just saying. Okay. You can help do that. Like tell them to get down there and see what's there. Because honestly, I'm on a couple scholarship committees and last year, I mean, we'd have like 30 applicants. We had like 7.
Yeah. it's
So,
crazy.
you know, that's kind of,
Increases your odds of getting it.
that's true. I'm first, the 7,
Yeah.
we're very happy, but you know, you know, it's just a shame sometimes. So, okay. Just
Thank
thought
you.
I'd ask about that. Thank you. Okay, on to business and student waivers, Dr. Sternerheim.
Thank you, Mrs. Harold. The recommendation is to approve the student waivers as discussed in executive session.
Motion,
Move to approve. Second.
any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Personnel, Dr. Sternerheim.
Thank you, Mrs. Harold. Recommendation is to approve the personnel as listed. We have resignation of support staff, resignation of coaching staff, appointments of support staff, transfer of coaching staff, appointments of activity advisor team leader, appointments of substitute support staff. In addition, we have retirement of support staff, resignation of support staff, and then the final personnel document is listing a series of personnel leaves. Recommendation is to approve as listed.
Motion,
So moved.
Second.
thank you. Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and the next one's tenure, but there's nothing with it. Is that still on there? Am I missing something there?
Yes, I did speak to Mrs. Kuzer. Apparently, what should be placed in there is a recommendation for tenure for Michelle Clark, who is a school psychologist.
So it just missed making it onto the paperwork, right? Nobody else has that, do they?
That is the only one.
Okay. Okay. Okay, as long as everybody's okay with not actually looking at it, but for Michelle Clark. So does somebody have a motion to approve that?
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Job descriptions, Dr. Sternerheim.
Thank you, Mrs. Harold. Within the board docs, you have a series of job descriptions. They're all listed as draft. In some cases, they are positions that we've had in the district in the past. And in some cases, obviously, we're looking at utilizing ESSER funding. The HR consultant is a position that we had in the past, school resource officer as well. The classroom monitor is a new position that's being essentially created by the Pennsylvania Department of Education to deal with some of the lack of substitutes and how districts can secure classroom monitors. And what we're looking at is 3 different job descriptions describing the restructuring of our Department of Special Education as well as Student Services, with job descriptions describing a Director of Special Education, a Supervisor of Special Education, and a Director of Student Services. Recommendation is to approve as listed.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hey, an overnight trip for gymnastics. Is that you again, Dr. Sterner?
Yes, this is
Okay.
her. Thank you. So we want to offer big congratulations to the high school gymnastics team. We had 13 of our students qualify for states. So this is a application for attendance at the state championship. Since it requires an overnight travel, it requires a board approval. So that would be February 18th into 19th. So the recommendation is to approve the gymnastics team to attend states.
Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Questions? Okay, I have just clarification. If I read this correctly, they are asking that the district pay the registration fee, which is $460, and that is all that they're requesting. Is that correct from us?
It's from my understanding in terms of the information that's listed there, I would have to get additional clarification through Mr. Makawan, but I.
Okay,
I
but
know
that
that-
is, I mean, they're
Yeah.
talking about boosters and
Yes.
kids
mhm,
themselves.
boosters
Okay.
pay for the
Okay, I
hotel,
just-
District pay the entry fee, gymnast pay for meals.
okay, so basically then you're approving the trip itself as well as $460. That's how I read
That
that.
would be correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions then after that? Not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Learning Center budget, Mr. Holtzman, maybe, or I don't care, whoever, I'm sorry.
But,
Okay.
yeah, either way,
Put it
I can do it.
Okay.
Certainly, either way. So this is the budget for the actual operation of the Franklin Learning Center itself. So it's not for necessarily the services that we would use there predominantly, although some of those are services per se. It's not the actual billing for the services. So if you have a student that's in a classroom up there, there is a separate charge that comes from the IU. This is just to run the center itself. So think about that as the building, the school nurse that would be there, the secretaries, custodians, utilities, things of that nature, maintenance on the building. The cost per student, it's billed out on a per student per day basis. And what would happen in this case is that it's actually going to stay the same. One of the reasons why, even though their operating costs have went up a little bit, their need to put money into the capital fund has decreased a little bit because they have been making improvements to the facilities. They don't feel that they need to add too much more money into their capital reserves at this time. And just as a heads up, you'll see this type of kind of approval. You'll see this for the Career Technology Center. You'll see this for the IU general operating budget in the future. Those items will all start coming into play a little bit as they release them. And like many of these joint operating committees, after so many districts approve it, then it's approved for the entire entity, whether or not that district approved it, so to speak.
Okay, Mrs. Straight is one of our reps there, right? And who's the other one? Did you go to the meeting? And anything you want to add or anything to that? Okay, that's kind of nice. They like don't need the money. That's great for them.
They've been very proactive about upgrading that building. That building dates from about 1980, I believe, and they probably
Did
about
they ever
10 years
put
ago,
that
they started
walkway thing in,
improvements.
like that protected? They want to do like a protective, like a covering, like an awning. Yeah, over the, remember that? You remember when you were on the board, were they talking
Yeah.
about that?
They have it on the front, but they don't have it on the back.
They
Yeah, I
wanted
think
it like
it's-
all the way down from the
yeah.
parking lot all the way up. I think
They
they
don't have that, yeah.
used the 50,000 for that. I don't know. Okay, I'm not on there anymore. Okay. Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Summer work schedule, Mr. Holtzman,
Sure.
not Mr. Holtzman?
Either way, I,
Okay, no, I can take that one.
Okay.
I can take that. Summer work schedule basically is what we're asking is that the past few years, we've gone having 4 10-hour or from 5 8-hour days to 4 10-hour days. And we, except for this year, we've done surveys several years and it's always, people would prefer. There are always some who don't, but we have people that the majority of people prefer to have those hours. And at this time, so that's what we are proposing, that the summer work schedule, 4 10-hour days.
And when would that start?
sure, June 6th.
There we go.
Okay.
Found it, June 6th through July, but I can talk here, June 6th through July 29th is where it would run. So,
And I want to make sure you understand, we have 5 bid days that come next. So if we have a bunch of new snow days, which we're hoping not, they would be used first before it would go to.
I'm sorry.
I believe in the official memo, it indicates that it extended the first week of the month.
Oh,
Like
okay.
in the
I was
past,
just
it-
looking back at the, sorry.
Yeah,
I
so
think we want one extra.
Okay.
Because I think last year we could have gone another week.
Okay, so it would be approved from June 6th through, what would that be?
August 5th,
August 5th?
technically the 4th, but yes.
Okay. Okay, so
Is this the
again,
whole district? I mean,
It's the
all the buildings and
summer employees.
summer employees? Yeah.
And we do have flexibility for some of our employees. Some of them choose to take some vacation time each week if they feel that, the days are a little bit too long for them. So we do have employees that do that as well.
Has there been any cost savings to like not running air conditionings on Fridays or?
There probably is some, but we haven't
Yeah,
tried to.
tried.
preserve it.
Okay.
Even though I know that I've been in other districts who did it, they saw, us. It's not a whole.
Okay. So then again, that's what we would be approving June 6th through August 5th. We have a motion.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Maury Turf Project. That would be Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So at Maury, we have 2 playgrounds. We have one in the back, and then we have one in the front that's primarily used for kindergarten and also for students in some of our special ed classrooms. A lot of that area is set up for those students. It's fenced in, and it also has rubber mulch in that area. Now, the rubber mulch is great for some aspects, but there's been some problems with it. One is it's not very conducive to taking wheelchairs across it. So obviously, and I don't say that in joke, but it's a challenge to try to take a wheelchair in there. And we have some students who are coming through the programs there. They're going to have a need for more of an ADA accessible playground area out front. There's also been some issues with students who possibly will go ahead and eat some of the rubber mulch, unfortunately. And we've had that problem in the past. And then there is a general maintenance issue with that rubber mulch. So what our proposal is the district staff itself, the maintenance staff, would take that rubber mulch out, and we would use that at one of our other buildings where we need rubber mulch. We have existing rubber mulch out of the buildings, and so we would take that and just use that in areas that are needed. And then what this company would do is come in and put in a padding to meet the fall standards, as well as put in an ADA accessible turf material on top of it. There were about 4 different options when we talked to the facilities committee as well as talked to this company. The first 3 options were very close in price, and then there was a 4th option that was probably about 8,000 to 10,000 more than what this option is here. So what we're doing is we're proposing to go ahead, basically make that a very ADA accessible playground out front at Maury.
And it was supported by the facilities committee, in case anybody's interested in that. So do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joint purchasing, or looks like energy or something here. Is that you, Mr. Holtzman?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you. So we use the IU has what's called the IU being the intermediate unit, has a joint purchasing board, and the joint purchasing board also has an energy committee. So you can, the IU, which has a joint purchasing board and an energy committee. And what that energy committee does is it buys a lot of the utilities on behalf of the member districts of the joint purchasing board, which is about 25 school districts, give or take a district or 2. So what we do is we use that energy committee to buy our natural gas. We purchase diesel fuel. We don't buy our own diesel fuel here, but other districts do. We also use that for electricity as well. So natural gas and electricity are predominantly what we're using this for. What they typically do is they're buying this energy into the future. So several years in the future. Right now, we have a lot of our electricity and natural gas purchased out through 2023. So what we're doing is that the committee itself wants to have that flexibility to continue to go out. We did this a couple of years ago. Usually we do this in 3-year chunks. And so we get permission from each board to go out into the future and purchase that electricity. Usually we don't buy it all at one time. Usually the energy committee makes a decision to buy maybe 25% a given year or 50% a given year, depending on pricing, trying to see where that pricing is going. As of late, I can tell you the pricing has not been down. It's been up significantly. So this would probably give us some options as down the road. Hopefully prices start to come back down again at some point.
Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Questions for Mr. Holtzman? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And business issue or financials, Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, ma'am. So we have the cafeteria and the general fund bills. Those are here. We always present those to you as a summary and then as a little bit more detailed. Kind of gives you two different perspectives on that. And then we also have the requisitions themselves coming up. And again, we get those approved by the board before we issue those purchase orders in most cases. Sometimes we do have emergency purchases that we have to make, but we try to keep those to a minimum. And then we also have January 2022 exonerations. Those are per capita and occupation taxes that were uncollected here locally. We send those to a third-party collector, but over time, they identify ones that are they're recommending to exonerate because they just can't find either. Typically, it's because the person has proven that they did not qualify to have that tax paid per capita or the occupation tax. In some cases, it could be because they had moved out. Some cases because they passed, and unfortunately, the bills didn't catch up with the situation.
I was just wondering about that. Like they always come, I mean, throughout the whole year, we get exonerations.
We do.
That's just when they try to pursue it to, to get the money or.
Sure. So that's a great question. So what they do is our local collectors collect that through December. They would collect that
Right.
occupation tax. And in the old days, they would have collected the per capita tax as well through December. And then at that point, whereas real estate is required to pay the county. Now, the county doesn't have to collect it, but we have to pay the county regardless of whether they collect it or not. So we choose to go ahead and pay them to collect it. The occupation and per capita taxes would go to a third-party collector in our case, which is JP Harris, is who the district years ago chose to do that. So what they do is they have a period of time where they really actively hit it, so to speak, typically March and April, oftentimes where they tell us ahead of time they're going to come around and make the phone calls and come around and do the door knocks. They get everyone's attention. But throughout the year, they're also continuously trying to collect it then, usually more remotely. Sometimes it's based on they're trying to get feeds from the state taxes, for example. That's a great way to figure out where people have moved. So if you can try to compare addresses and things of that nature, even internally here, we try to help them out. When we have new information, we'll contact them as well. So you're right. There's a period of time where they heavily hit it, but they are doing this year round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wonder how that worked.
Sure.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the financials tonight?
Move to approve.
Any other questions for Mr. Holtzman?
Actually, I do have a question.
Yes,
So, Martin's Giant Foods,
Uh-huh.
when you check out, they're giving money to, for school children.
Mhm.
However, all our food is coming from federal funding. So what would you advise the public to do here in Waynesboro? Should we up those cents to, or whatever?
Sure. Actually, those roundup programs do come back to the districts. We've been the
Do they?
benefactors
We
from
got like
Martin's.
$20,000.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we've received money
21,000.
back from them, but they've been very generous in turning that money back into the district here. Of course, to your point, as you said, Ms. Zimmerman, we're required to purchase kind of from the lowest bidder, so to speak. And if that was that company, if it was Martin's, we would certainly buy from them. But typically, it could be the consortium that we're purchasing through at that time. But they've been very generous to help us out, so we appreciate it.
So therefore, even though the federal government is subsidizing the food, our cafeterias and our children still would benefit from this program.
Oh, sure they do. I mean, those
Okay.
funds certainly help out. And certainly in the past, those funds have helped out in everything from being able to help pay over some old debts and things of that nature as well to help out our students. So we have appreciated it. And of course, a lot of our local groups here, other family consumer sciences and other classes, they certainly do try to buy from Martin's.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions? Not all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On to Clayton Cabinet comments.
I have one quick one I want to make sure I clarify. I mentioned bid days, as flexible instruction days. I know one thing I just wanted to mention with those, getting back to just having that basic philosophy that we have of having kids face to face, we had decided this year on our calendar that the first 4 make-up days face to face. I think consistent with our belief and our value system. And then after that, use 5 bid days. We applied for them. We got them approved. Actually, I think you guys even had to vote for them. And I think we get them for the next 3 years that we can use them. We can use up to 5 bid days for weather. And so they are actually the next day, if we have another snow day, it'd be a bid day. But, and that the good thing about those, that we can still go to school and, you know, it doesn't go so far in when you get into a lot of vacation, start getting upset that they had vacation and then school has to pick up. So, but again, I just want to explain, we did the first 4 as face-to-face value that, and next 5. So hopefully we won't need them.
Anybody else?
I would like to add that there's some information regarding the district's bid days on the website, and building principals are working at pushing out communication to parents as well as a schedule in preparation. Hopefully we won't have to use one, but so that we.
I'm wearing your rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, my rose,
now.
they're not rose colored today, but, so, and I believe the all-school production is on the 18th through the 20th. It's 9 to 5. And I also wanted to comment that, that we do have scholarships listed in Sapphire, as well as a website that has all the scholarships listed, as well as a result of our college advisor, as well as, I believe this is. Set those up as well.
Good to know.
That was my comments.
Anybody else? Clayton? How about board comments tonight?
2 quick things. One on the scholarship. I know that sometimes a lot of local businesses will offer a scholarship to children in the community, students in the community. So that's another avenue. For instance, I know that the business that I work for offers a scholarship to seniors that live in the county. And then the second thing, I had the pleasure to go and tour all of the schools with Dr. Klein. So that was a lot of fun to go and see all of the teachers and the students and meet many teachers, and got to field some questions from a 7th grade math class, which was a lot of fun. The math class did discover that Dr. Klein is older than I am, but we won't hold that against him. So, but it was a great pleasure to go and visit all of the schools and to meet as many people as we did.
Some of the local clubs in town also offer
Mhm.
scholarships. Way back in the old days, I had an elk scholarship every year.
Well, a lot of those are funneled through the school,
Okay. so we
whereas
do-
yours though,
It's
Is-
funneled through my company.
so it's not at our school. You'd have
Correct,
to
they
go
would
to
apply through
Orrstown.
our-
Okay,
mhm.
okay. So, yeah, they're out there. Kids need to take advantage. Anything else? I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
was just going, are they, Dr. McCallum, are they on the website?
With our website company, I'm able to the first 100 students, and I sent it to the so I've gotten some good feedback.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Board comments? If not, we will be going into executive session and not returning after this. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming out, showing interest.